Well, LeBron James passed Michael Jordan to move into fourth on the NBA's all-time scoring list. The 34-year-old Los Angeles Lakers star notched his 32nd, 293rd point in a loss to the Denver Nuggets on Wednesday night, and it's revived the debate over who really is the greatest basketball player who ever lived. Bill Reiter joins me now. He's the host of Reiter's Block on CBS Sports HQ. Bill, where do you fall on this LeBron-Jordan debate?
Yeah, I gotta be careful here. This is a topic that makes people very angry. So I grew up a child of Jordan in the Chicago suburbs. I've covered LeBron, and I thought about it a lot. I think the answer is this. I think Jordan is still the greatest of all time, but barring some catastrophe, some injuries we don't foresee with LeBron James, he's almost certainly be the greatest player of all time, despite everyone yelling at CBSN right now, but he's 6-0 in the finals. LeBron, not just fourth on the all-time scoring list, he's 10th right now on the all-time assist list, the only non-point guard on that list. If he averages in the neighborhood of 20 points per game at 65 games a year for the next 5 seasons, very reasonable for a guy in an era where people are playing later and more competitively at ages we didn't foresee across a multitude of sports. He's going to pass Keenum as the all-time points leader. He's maybe in the top 5 in assists. And whatever his record in the finals, I think people will look back and say, by a hair, LeBron passed Mike, but I don't think he's done it yet.
Can I just tell you, your opinion no longer counts. You're a Chicago boy. For all those LeBron fans, you're a Chicago boy. It doesn't count.
But I let Chicago down.
I do want to ask you, though, reportedly they're going to be scaling back on LeBron's playing time for the rest of the season. Are they conceding that they won't go to the playoffs? I mean, what do they do to fix this debacle in the offseason?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the ironies of LeBron setting that record and that loss against Denver. I would argue pretty aggressively that this season is the biggest failure of LeBron's career, and I think a lot of the blame, most of the blame, might in fact fall at LeBron's feet. LeBron is a student of Greg Popovich. He's going to study and has studied what it means to protect and take care of his body. They're shutting him down, minute restrictions in the 20s, no back-to-backs, because LeBron signed off on this. So this season's over. The answer to your question, I think, is does Jeannie Buss have what it takes to assess properly her front office and perhaps move on from Magic Johnson, who's the president of operations? And as much as I think Jeannie will be a great owner at some point, I don't think she's going to make that decision this summer. Magic Johnson has been awful in the front office, along with Rob Pelinka, his GM. They've ceded a lot of control to LeBron. Luke Walton's probably going to be fired. Barring some big free agent in the offseason, which the Lakers have failed to deliver on other than LeBron, for a very long time, I don't know what the easy solution is going forward.
I want to switch for a second and talk to you about the NFL. We know quarterback Case Keenum is on the move. Do you think Washington has found its quarterback of the future?
I don't know about quarterback of the future. It's such an unfair situation for Case Keenum, for Alex Smith, who almost certainly that injury last season is going to probably be career-ending, and for Washington, who'd found a quarterback of the future before injury took Smith down. But I like Case. I think he was very impressive in Minnesota a couple seasons ago. Did not have a good season with the Broncos. So in a really bad situation where injury has altered the plans for that team in D.C., I think this is about as good as you could do. You cross your fingers if you're a Washington fan, and you hope Keenum can regain the form that he had a couple seasons ago.
So college basketball's regular season will wrap up this weekend. What are you looking for as we enter the conference tournament play?
Yeah, there's a few things. I mean, Gonzaga is probably the best team in the country, not named Duke, and they are the #1 team in the country. They haven't lost a basketball game since December 15th. They beat Duke earlier in the year, and so for me, I want to see them be able to try to stay sharp, even though they have just rolled through conference play. I think Virginia Arena is really interesting. We've known for a long time how great they are defensively. This year, they're in the top 2 in offensive efficiency rating, in offense in college basketball as well. They had that loss last year to UMBC, which was the worst loss in the history of the tournament, one versus a 16 seed. Are they going to be able to right that and have some revenge off of that? And I'll throw in a few other schools. I'll throw in Iowa because I'm from Iowa. I'd like to see if the Hawkeyes, who haven't played well down the stretch, can play well in the Big Ten tournament and try to find themselves a berth. And I'll be keeping an eye on the Pac-12, which probably only deserves one at-large bid. That's how bad that conference has been.
Wow.
But if one of these teams that have underperformed make a run through the Pac-12 tournament, it's going to keep a very deserving school somewhere else from going. So those are some of the stories. It's going to be great. It's March, right? Those are some of the storylines I'm keeping an eye on.
Okay, great. But, before you go, Bill, I've got to ask you about the story that I've been fascinated about all morning. Out of California, a court there, obviously, 28 members of the United States women's national soccer team filed a gender discrimination lawsuit. This was against U.S. Soccer Federation just months before they'll actually attempt to win another title at the Women's World Cup this summer. Were you surprised at the way U.S. soccer is actually treating its world champions.
Yeah, it's right on, and on International Women's Day. I mean, there's two realities at play here. One reality, women's soccer, the U.S. women's team is markedly better than the men's team. They don't belong in the same conversation. The men missed the World Cup last time around. The women's team, I would argue, the best in the world. And the other reality is the men make more money, according to the lawsuit. They have much better facilities. They travel better. And in the eyes of those women who have filed this suit, the men are treated markedly better despite their lack of success. So it's going to be very interesting because this is U.S. soccer put on the spot to say, do you value success, or is it only success that you value when it's men's sports, in this case, when it's men's soccer?
Do you think this case will be a turning point? I mean, we've seen the disparity in just goalie salaries, just across the board of how they are compensated, just even hotel rooms, as you mentioned. Will this make a difference?
I don't think it'll make a difference across all sports because it's a market question. Do people want to watch these sports?
But for soccer, for these women, Bill, do you think?
But for soccer, I think it will. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, soccer, U.S. women's soccer, forget soccer, U.S. women's soccer matters. When Serena Williams makes the argument that she should be paid equal to men, she's right. I mean, she draws eyeballs. And when U.S. women's soccer players make the argument we deserve, forget fair treatment, maybe better treatment than the men because of the way that we performed, they're right. The ratings are good. People care. It has an impact on the culture.
Yeah,
I think they've got a strong case.
Bill Reiter, thank you for joining us, Bill.
Anytime.
And don't forget, you can catch Bill's show, Reiter's Block, every Monday through Friday, 5 p.m., only on CBS Sports HQ.